What's good, YouTube? It's your boy Ray Ray. Now, today I really wanted to take a second to talk about why the Brooklyn Nets could potentially beat the Lakers in the finals. Now, I am a Lakers fan, so I hope that does not happen. I want to see my Lakers win again. But when I make my YouTube videos, I try to be as unbiased as humanly possible, even for a Laker fan. So because of that, I'm going to put my Lakers bias aside while I'm making this video, and I'm going to be realistic with why I think the Nets could possibly beat the Lakers if they happen to meet in the finals. So in real life, we all know that person that is one big if. Like, if I was a little bit taller, I would have made it to the NBA. If I wasn't so out of shape, I would have beat you in a one-on-one any given day of the year. We all know people like that who are just one big if. And in a way, I can kind of see the Brooklyn Nets being like that this season. The first person has to do with Kevin Durant. Last year, he missed the entire season due to an Achilles tear that was very unfortunate. A lot of NBA fans were saying, if Kevin Durant can come back fully healthy, then the Nets are going to be a very good team. And fortunately, Kevin Durant has done just that. Ever since he got back from his injury, he's been playing like an absolute superstar. And then the next if has to do with Kyrie Irving. If Kyrie can finally commit to his job, he can commit to his teammates, he can commit to Kevin Durant and his coach and everyone in the Nets organization, then the Brooklyn Nets can possibly be a contending team. And then the third and final if has to do with James Harden. You see, last year, James Harden led the entire NBA in scoring at 34 points per game. Now, in his last 7 or 8 games with Houston this season, he was only averaging around 15 points, and a lot of that had to do because he was overweight, and because anyone who watched a Houston Rockets game could tell that this guy was not putting out any effort on the court. After all, this is the same guy who didn't show up to training camp because he was partying in Vegas with Lil Baby. So the big if with James Harden was, if he can get back into shape and commit to the new team that he got traded to, then the Brooklyn Nets could possibly be a contending team. But the thing is, not only did James Harden start balling out with the Brooklyn Nets, he did this way faster than most NBA fans expected. After all, just a couple weeks ago, this dude looked round enough to be the basketball. And now in Brooklyn, these past couple games, he's out here giving people 30 points a night. So with all of that being said, let's find out why the Brooklyn Nets could possibly beat the Lakers if they were to meet up in the finals. And I promise you, it goes a lot deeper than just having 3 guys that can score the basketball. Now, really fast before we get into everything, if you appreciate unbiased content, especially coming from a Lakers fan, if you wouldn't mind giving this video a thumbs up, it really helps out the channel. That is all I ask for. So the first thing I want to point out is this post-game interview by James Harden. Let's take a look at what he had to say after yesterday's game.
That's a huge win for us. Not really having a chance to practice. Just going on the fly. We beat a really good Bucks team. So watch some film and get ready for the next game.
You know, James,
pretty good for someone who hasn't practiced for a couple of days.
Yeah. Basically, in a very professional and respectful way, James Harden said, yeah, we haven't been practicing or anything, but we just won the last 4 games in a row. And in the 2 games that I've been here, I've had 34 and 32. My teammate Kevin Durant has had 42 and 30. We haven't even practiced, and we just beat one of the best teams in the NBA. Oh, and let me remind you all, NBA media, we don't even have our 3rd guy yet. And that is one of the things that is very scary about this team. You see, when James Harden and Russell Westbrook teamed up in Houston, there really was only one basketball. Each of these guys got their points every single night, but it never really felt too much like team basketball, which is why the Houston Rockets always fell short in the playoffs. And what's amazing to me, even though James Harden has won the last 3 scoring titles, he said that he wants to work on his point guard skills once again so that he can be a distributor.
Me individually, I just got to get my point guard skills back in.
James Harden was in Houston long enough, and he realized, you know what, I might be this amazing scorer, and I might play with other people who are very good scorers as well. But in all this time that I was in Houston, we never won a single ring. So the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. And it's starting to look like James Harden realized that, which is why he wanted out of Houston. He said, you know what, let me go play with Kevin Durant, because Kevin Durant realized the exact same thing that I'm realizing now back when he was in OKC. Kevin Durant said, you know what, get me out of here. I don't want to play with Russ. I'm going to go to Golden State where these guys share the basketball. And what happened once he got to Golden State? They won championships. So James Harden sees Kevin Durant and says, yeah, this is another offensive weapon. We both played with Russell Westbrook and it didn't work out for either of us. Not only can Kevin Durant score the basketball, but he understands that we need to move the basketball as a team. And in a way, Kyrie understands that as well. He played with LeBron. He was always the second fiddle to LeBron. So Kyrie also knows that. Now, it's just a matter of not only do they all know it, but will they all actually implement it? So far, Kevin Durant and James Harden have actually implemented it. Let's see if Kyrie does so as well. And I think he will, because Kevin Durant and James Harden are good friends of Kyrie. I don't think he wants to let them down, but at the same time, it doesn't look like Kyrie really cares about his teammates too much right now because of all the stuff he's been doing. I don't know. I can't speak for anybody else. So assuming these guys are all on the same page, which as a basketball fan, I really want to see the Nets succeed because I want to see them in the finals against my Lakers. But assuming all these guys understand they have to share the basketball, this is what's very scary for the Lakers. You see, when the Nuggets beat the Clippers in last year's playoffs, I was very happy for two reasons. One reason was because it was embarrassing for the Clippers. As a Laker fan, I'll take any opportunity I can get to make fun of the Clippers. But the second reason was, if the Lakers and the Clippers met up in the conference finals, the Clippers match up against the Lakers way better than the Lakers match up against the Clippers. If LeBron guards Kawhi, who's going to guard Paul George? Avery Bradley, one of the Lakers' best defenders at the time, wasn't even playing in the bubble. And then who's going to guard Lou Will? Alex Caruso is a good defender, but Lou Will, he's been six man so many times, he might as well just go up and live with Drake up in the six. So when the Nuggets beat the Clippers, I was very happy because I knew that the Lakers were definitely going to beat the Nuggets since we match up better against the Nuggets than we would have against the Clippers. But that would be the issue if the Lakers and the Nets met up in the finals. So unless the Nets were to choke everything up, this is what would happen. And once again, I hope I'm wrong, but I'm just trying to be realistic and unbiased. Kevin Durant and James Harden have won 7 of the last 11 scoring titles. Let that sink in for a second. How many players have been through the NBA in the last 11 years? Yet these two guys have combined for 7 out of the last 11 scoring titles, and now not only are they on the same team, but they are sharing the ball and having phenomenal chemistry with one another. Laker fans or fan of any team, who on the Lakers is going to stop that? Actually, better yet said, who in the world is going to stop the two best scorers in the NBA when they're on the same team and when they're willing to share the ball with one another? LeBron is 36. We just saw that in RDC World skit. LeBron is not getting any younger. Kevin Durant has already strapped it up against LeBron in the finals. And then you add Kyrie to the mix. Once again, assuming Kyrie fully buys into his team. If Kyrie, James Harden, and Kevin Durant are all on the same page, tell me who is going to stop that team. Honestly, the only people I can see stopping them are themselves. If egos get in the way, if they don't want to share the ball all of a sudden. I'm a diehard Laker fan, and I'm always going to be a Laker fan, but I'm just trying to be realistic. I don't really see how the Lakers will stop this team if they're all on the same page playing team basketball. But that's pretty much everything I have to say. I just want to be unbiased with everything I say in terms of basketball. So if you appreciate that and you watch this video all the way through, please give it a thumbs up. It really helps out the channel, and hit the subscribe button if you want to watch daily NBA content. Anyway, with all that being said, Lakers 2021 champs, I am out of here.